Hi, everyone. Welcome. We'll give folks a minute or two to come on in. Hi, everyone. If you're just joining, the attendance is still climbing, so we're going to give folks another minute or two to join. All right. I think we're all set to get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the National Brownfields Training Conference First Timers webinar. We are just 2 weeks away from the 2025 Brownfields Conference in Chicago. And if you've never attended a Brownfields conference, it can be a bit overwhelming, even if you've attended one before. So today we're going to talk about what the conference has to offer and what you can expect in Chicago. And we hope that you'll walk away from this excited to learn and engage and problem solve at the conference. Before I ask our speakers to introduce themselves, I just wanted to go over some logistical items. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A function. Please use that to ask questions. You're more than welcome to say hi and use the chat, but we just ask that you use the Q&A feature at the bottom to ask your questions. That way we can keep track of who we're answering. Someone from our team will answer your question either in the chat or out loud, or we'll get back to you. This webinar is being recorded and it will be posted on the conference website within the next week or so for folks to refer back to. So if you know someone that couldn't make it or if you have to hop off early, it will be recorded. And then finally, I just wanted to share a quick disclaimer that if anyone is using an AI tool to take notes, that's okay, but please just know that EPA and ICMA, we will not supply or review any AI-generated summary of this webinar. The AI may not correctly capture what we're discussing here today, and if you receive an email with a summary, it is not from the US EPA or from ICMA. So with that, I'll introduce myself. I'm Christina Barnes with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. I work in the Office of Brownfields and Land Revitalization, and this will be my third conference. From that, I'll hand it over to Tad to say hi.
Hey everybody, thanks Christina. I'm Tad McGalliard. I'm the Managing Director for Innovation and Research at ICMA, and this will be my 14th conference working with ICMA.
Thanks, Tad. What about you, Deb?
My name is Debra Figueroa. I work for a firm called Sustainable Strategies, which is a strategic consulting firm for resources. I have a long career in local government before I started with my current firm.
Awesome.
Hi, I'm Leah Yasenchak. I'm a principal at Brownfield Redevelopment Solutions. I started my career in the early 90s as an intern at ICMA and then moved over to be an intern at EPA and have been working in the EPA Brownfields program since 1997, pretty much the start of it. Moved over to municipal brownfields and then started BRS, where we serve as outsourced staff to municipalities running brownfields programs. I attended my first Brownfields conference in 1998, and I don't know how many conferences that makes at this point.
Thanks so much. And I see some folks are introducing themselves in the chat. Please feel free to keep doing so. And again, ask your questions, and we'll do our best to answer. Next slide, please. All right, so today's agenda, we're going to cover the basics, including how and where to register. We're going to give some background information on the conference and EPA's Brownfields program. We'll talk about who you can expect to interact with at the conference, our educational programming, some of the networking and opportunities and conference events, and then we'll share while we keep attending the conference. And with that, I'll hand it over to Tad.
Yeah, I won't say too much on this slide, but just a reminder that the conference registration process is still open. I think we're up to almost 2,200 registrants or so right now, and we expect to get somewhere near 25 to 2,600 people. So it is a sizable event. But to register, obviously, it's right there on the screen, gobrownfields.org. So invite all your family and friends and other professional colleagues to come sign up and join us in Chicago. So when you get there, I mean, conferences have gone through these transitions where you used to get bags and lots of paper and booklets and all kinds of things to figure out what's going on at the conference. We'll have a little bit of that, but mostly we're going to be counting on folks to use the Whova app. And this will be where the educational program is located, as well as all the other events that are happening. And it's also a great networking tool. Once you get into the app, you'll see lots of opportunities for identifying people that you want to go have a beer with, or maybe go on a run with in the morning, but also just opportunities for connect with people who may be interested in, let's say, the community development in Kent County, Michigan, as Haley Stickman just introduced herself in the chat. So it's a really valuable tool, and I would encourage everybody, it's now available in the App Store and in the Whova app, to go find it. Search for Brownfields 25, and it's a very easy download. And Deb, you're muted.
Thank you. We wanted to start off today with why brownfields matter to us. My background is in city management, so brownfields really matter to me and how they affect residents. Brownfields are in the heart of so many communities, and they're surrounded by many times vulnerable residents. The ability to mitigate and redevelop brownfields unleashes incredible potential to help residents with job creation, parks, innovative projects that could really help people who need it. And that is why brownfields matter so much to me. Christina, I want to hand it over to you next. Why do they matter to you?
That's really great. I have something pretty similar. When I think of brownfields, I think of opportunity. When we clean up and reuse these sites, we're really reinvesting in communities, which help mitigate health risks from contaminants, like Deb said, use existing infrastructure and reduce urban sprawl. Often it increases local tax base, facilitates job growth, and stimulates local economies. And there are just so many benefits that come from assessing, cleaning up, and reusing these sites. And to me, that really matters. At the conference, you'll hear a lot about it.
Leah, I was going to put you on the spot next. Why do they matter to you?
Couldn't find the unmute button. So, I think that the obvious answers are because we're reducing exposure to contaminants, and we're providing an opportunity to transform blighted sites into services or jobs. And all of those things are important, but I really think that the crux of it, and why I'm so passionate in my 30 plus years of working in brownfields, is that transforming these properties in the heart of these often disadvantaged communities can bring a sense of mattering to the residents, and being seen and heard, and understanding that their government is working for them, and just bringing that sense of hopefulness back, that their opinion and their livelihoods and their communities matter. So to me, that is kind of the crux of why I'm so passionate about being in this field. And Tad, I guess that leaves you.
Yeah, about cleanup. I mean, I can't say it any better than anybody said it before me, but for me, brownfields are very much a hyper-local issue. We get asked a lot as ICMA, why are you guys working with EPA on this conference and some of the other stuff that we've done over the years? Some of it started back when Leah was an intern, when EPA came to organizations like ICMA and the U.S. Conference of Mayors and said, hey, we need help getting the word out, because land use is generally under the purview of cities, counties, towns, and townships. So for us and for me, brownfields are very much that hyper-local issue that makes a real difference in the lives of communities, particularly if if there's opportunities around it to make the neighborhood better, to make the community more revitalized, and certainly to bring in economic opportunity.
Okay, and I cheated by going first there. So thank you. Um, the We're all here to learn more about brownfields in general. Brownfield development really started in 1995 in EPA's and what the Brownfield redevelopment program has been able to do is really transform our country in many ways. Just looking at EPA's programs, they've awarded nearly 5,000 local grants, supported over 32,500 properties, the cleanup of 190,000 properties, making more than 2 million acres of land ready for use to be redeveloped, and bringing in $33 billion in revitalization and creating over 170,000 jobs. Those are in communities across the nation, every size, rural, large municipalities, and everything in between. So they've really transformed how we see our cities today. And I would say even more important than that is the EPA's Brownfield program allowed cities to recycle formerly used buildings and really created that entire ecosystem where it was allowed. Before this program, many communities, brownfields just sat because the risk was too great to mitigate and too great to redevelop. So it really catalyzed our communities in a way that in a really important way. Looking at the background of the conference, this conference has been going on for 25 plus years, and a lot of people have been going to it from the very beginning. Ted, how many did you go to? How many have you gone to?
I think this is my 14th.
No, I think I'm on my 5th. So I don't know nearly as much, but they're always amazing to go to, and they're amazing to go to because of who you will meet there. You know, public officials, developers, landowners, people coming together to figure out how to leverage resources and network. And I'm happy to say that this year is still a really great year to come to this conference because brownfield redevelopment still has bipartisan support and funding. So, it's a really good time to try to figure out how you can improve your community and continue what we call the great tradition of brownfield conferences. Chicago is the 21st event. I don't need to read the list, but brownfield conferences have been held in major cities across the country, several times in Chicago. Last time was in Detroit. And I think when I wrote this, we were expecting 2,800 attendees. Is it down to like 2,600? Okay, we're still expecting 2,800.
Let's go with 28, yep.
Okay. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Tad to talk a little more about who you will see.
Yeah, I mean, the conference really, I've said it like this for a number of years. When you think about something like brownfield redevelopment, right now, there really isn't a national association of brownfield stakeholders. And so the conference really is the biennial, I guess, gathering of those folks that would make up a trade association of brownfields cleanup and redevelopment. So you're going to meet a whole bunch of different kinds of folks, and Deb alluded to a number of them, but it's not limited. It's not just a government audience. It's not just a nonprofit audience. It really is the full ecosystem of stakeholders that come to the conference. Lots of local government officials from all levels and all parts of local government, because that's, lots of people touch them inside of local government. So the city managers, mayors, elected council members, planners, public works, community development, economic development, so on and so forth. There's a ton of professionals that come from that space, state governments as well, but you'll also see a lot of private sector folks in attendance, private sector cleanup firms, engineers, real estate and developers. So you're going to have an opportunity to intersect with people from a wide variety of disciplines and people who have different interests in coming to the conference, which is good because certainly one of the things, and we'll have a poll a little bit later on to ask you sort of who you are and why you're there. But one of the things that's really important about the conference, yes, it's a great educational forum, but it is certainly the premier networking forum for people who have brownfields in their communities.
So I think we're going to launch a poll now. Everybody, or at least a lot of you, have been putting your name and organization into the chat, and that's terrific. We wanted to ask you to just respond to a little poll so we can kind of get a visual of the distribution of the different organizations that everybody here on this call represents. And if your organization is not represented, click on other, and then if you could just put that organization in the that organization type in the chat, then we can you know, improve our poll for next year's first timers webinar. But Cameron, I can't see how the responses are coming in, so I'm not sure if
Yep,
if
looks
we're
like
ready to close the poll yet.
a couple more coming in. Just about finished here. I'll end the poll.
So thank you for responding. It looks like we have mostly local government here, and pretty much exactly equal from state government and nonprofit. One student, welcome. And you know, a few other folks as well, consultants and developers, pretty well represented also. So these are this is a sampling of the type of people that you're going to be able to interact with at the conference. So I think we have another poll next. So one of the important things to think about as you are planning for your experience at this conference is, what are you hoping to get out of it? So we have a follow-up polling question with some potential ideas of what you may be looking for to get out of this conference, and then again an open response to add to the chat if these items don't accurately represent what you're hoping to get out. So maybe you have a brownfield site in your community and you're looking for ideas or contacts to help you revitalize it. Maybe you are a consultant or looking to get some additional clients or work, or you know, you are a developer or a financer and are looking to invest in brownfield sites. Maybe you're a student or looking for a job change and you want to make contacts to find a different job, or you're here to provide information to others. So or something else entirely that I haven't thought of. So if you can fill in that poll, and then we'll see where the distribution of that lies.
Okay, looks like all the responses are in.
All right, so we have a lot of folks that have actual brownfield sites, which makes sense since we had mostly local government representatives, and then people who have probably been in the brownfields arena for a while, who are either looking for additional clients or looking to transfer information to others. So that's terrific. I didn't see if there were any additional objectives that popped up in the chat. But this should really just the fact that you thought about this for, you know, 8 seconds right now will help you as you're looking through the conference agenda and thinking of how you want to plan your week in Chicago. So like I said, just the little bit of time that you spent thinking about that can really help you as you are determining what sessions that you want to go to. What is it that you want to do? So a lot of you had projects that you're looking for ideas on how to revitalize particular sites. So make sure that you have your elevator speech, your quick nugget of information that you can share with folks that you meet to get those ideas, to get those funding sources, to get those contacts for developers, to get those remedial solutions. Whatever your particular thorny issue is, make sure that you kind of have thought about that and thought through the people that you want to connect with to get those questions answered. It can also be really helpful to have a little briefing sheet or a marketing sheet for that particular site that gives the highlights of what it is that you're trying to do, what the proposed end use is, how large of a site it is, what the ownership issues are, you know, who to contact for more information, that sort of thing, to really be able to move that forward in a targeted way. If you're job hunting, you know, bring your resume, or I know at the last conference I discovered that now resumes are like on some sort of electronic portal, and people were handing me QR codes instead of resumes. So whatever the current way of transferring information is, you know, have that prepared. Reach out to folks that you know you want to talk to ahead of time. Schedule coffee, schedule a breakfast, schedule a meetup. That is a really important way to make sure that you are making the most out of your time in Chicago. There are a lot of times where you just see people in sessions, or you see people at mixers, and we'll talk a little bit more about those opportunities later. But if there is somebody that you really know that you want to talk to, reach out to them ahead of time. We used to joke that, you know, I'm based in New Jersey, and we would go to Chicago or Detroit or New Orleans, and we would meet up with the folks that worked an hour away from us. We would, you know, go across the country to schedule those meetings, because you're there, you're away from your regular grind, and it's a really great opportunity to meet with folks, even if they're folks in your same state. So schedule those meetings, and then take the time to, I thought it was the Hoova app, I guess it's the Wova app, whatever, however you say it. Download that ahead of time, go through the sessions, and think about what your objective is and who it is that you want to meet, and, you know, be a little strategic about planning your conference sessions, because those are really great opportunities to make sure that you're meeting the right people and you're getting your questions answered. And so I think that, you know, that any special sessions that you're interested in, or speakers that you particularly want to hear, you know, that's the time to kind of make sure that those are on your schedule.
Yeah, and as you know, Leah alluded to earlier, I mean, it's a big conference. There's a ton of educational programming that happens. There's pre-conference. There's stuff that happens inside the building. There's stuff that takes people outside the convention center. So there's literally pretty much something for anybody, no matter how you like to learn, whether you like to listen to PowerPoints or you like to be more readily engaging in a small group conversation. So what I'm going to do on this slide and the next slide, you can go ahead and go to that one, is just talk a little bit more about the educational program. And I won't go all through all this. You can read it. The program is now live at gobrownfields.org. So everything from session titles and descriptions to speakers are uploaded. Information about anything that requires a pre-registration. Unfortunately, much of it is already sold out, although there may be opportunities for waitlisting. But again, the conference features, just like most events of this size, educational programming. Very popular activities are mobile workshops, where we take 50 or so folks to see traditionally redeveloped sites in the host community. And I alluded to that the pre-conference stuff just a little bit. There are some courses, and Emily will correct me if I'm wrong, but we do our Brownfields 101 stuff, particularly for folks like yourself who maybe have never been to an event the day before the conference. So on August 4th, did I get that right? 5th, knew I was going to blow it. On August 5th, Brownfield University sessions will be offered to, again, sort of share basic information about financing and cleanup and public participation and other topics like that. One of the central features of our conference is the exhibit hall, where a number of private sector folks will be. We have about 100 booths this year. Have some really great sponsors who are underwriting certain kinds of things. I will tell you that we do a lot of things in the exhibit hall. So there will be a reception on the opening night on Tuesday, starting at about 4, 5, somewhere in that area. But this is a great opportunity to network again with folks who are going to be at the conference. There's also sort of swimming around the event, a whole host of other events, which are sometimes invite only and sometimes are more open to the public. More typically, they're invite only affiliate events. So if you see something, or if you like to use the conference in the future as a place to organize a small little gathering of some key stakeholders that have something to do with Brownfields, that is something that we can talk to you about going forward. We do have some continuing education credits for folks, and so check into that. All that information is available on the website as well. I won't read through these out loud. You can, again, read them on the screen, but these are the tracks with which most of the educational program is sort of aligned this year. We have 7 of them, and they're not real specific, but they tend to put some guardrails on either side of an educational session, so you have a general sense of what is being offered. But we spend a lot of time focused on cleaning up, redeveloping, reusing, engaging the public, those kinds of things that are all necessary for a successful brownfields cleanup and redevelopment process. We have 4 or so primary formats that we'd like to use. There's the traditional panel session where you have a moderator and a couple speakers, 2 or 3 speakers at the front of the room, and it's generally one directional sharing of information with some time at the end for questions. We have a variation of that model called a town hall meeting, which is much more interactive. There'll be a panel of speakers. We used to do this as a plenary session, actually. But the town hall is again meant to be back and forth between the audience and the panelists. And usually it starts off with a few questions amongst the panelists before they really get into the conversation with the audience. Roundtables are our most intimate format, where we try to get people really thinking about typically newer issues and newer topics in the space. And as the industry has matured, it's gotten a little more difficult, honestly, to find those topics that require that intimate conversation. But no matter if it's even a more seasoned topic, we still find that this format lends itself to lots of great conversation. Topic talks we actually invented, I believe, at the last Chicago conference in 2013, where we put everybody in a room, and they were quick hitting 15-minute sessions, and then the speakers would rotate real through, and then they'd go outside to the speaker room to answer questions. We still do that. It's been so popular. We've noticed over the years that adult learning has really changed. When we first did this conference, or when I first started doing it over 20 years ago, the average length of time for an educational session was 90 minutes. We're down to about 60, and I swear that might still be getting too long for large parts of the population. Just the way we take in information is really evolving fast, and we try to keep up with it. But topic talks are really meant to be these quick hitting, 15-minute, quick sharing of information, and then you'll rotate to the next speaker who may have a similar topic that they're talking on. So plenary sessions, we have 3 of them. This year, it's typically what we have. We have an opening plenary, then we have something which we've been doing for a long time called the Mayor's Roundtable, and then finally we have a keynote speaker on that Thursday. And I won't really, share a whole lot of information. We're going to have our executive director at ICMA who's going to say a few words, and then we'll certainly have some time for the 2 folks from EPA to really be the main speakers of the opening session. The Mayor's Roundtable, again, is a really interactive event or conversation amongst the mayors. We have one Mayor Steve Williams from Hunting, West Virginia, who's going to be moderating, and then the others will sort of talk about brownfields in the context. Again, getting back to what Deb and I were saying, and even Leah, brownfields is a very hyper-local issue in many ways. And so hearing these perspectives from the chief elected officials from communities has proven to be very popular. And then our keynote presentation from Steve Weichel, he's on the faculty at MIT. This is going to be a little different than something that we've done in a while. given the sudden rise in artificial intelligence and AI, we started wondering if there was anybody who could talk halfway fluently about how the development industry and real estate and those sort of sectors are using AI in their decision making around whether or not to pursue redevelopment of a particular property. So we ran across Mr. Weichel. He's going to give us some insights from his perspective about how he sees this going in the future and how it's being used today. That's still me. All right, keep going.
I actually think this is me, Ted.
Oh, there we go. All right.
Thank you so much. I'm going to put the link to the Brownfields University sessions in the chat, but on Tuesday, we have 14 different training workshops, or as we like to call them, Brownfields University sessions. These are typically 2 to 4 hour workshops, and they're designed to help participants elevate and enrich their practitioner-oriented skills and knowledge. And these this year range from beginner to intermediate workshops. I do want to note that these are sessions that you have to pre-register for, and the only way to do that is through that link I sent in the chat. You have to add a ticket to your registration. So this is unfortunately not something that can be done in the app. Every year we get questions from folks that say, I added this session to my agenda in the app. That is not registering for these university sessions. So if you want to go to these, please make sure that you are adding a ticket in the registration portal. Next slide, please. All right, and then we have some ACRES and different EPA grants trainings available at the conference. So ACRES is the Assessment, Cleanup, and Redevelopment Exchange System, and it's an online database for EPA grant recipients to electronically submit data to the agency. Pretty much all day on Wednesday and Thursday, you can attend an ACRES training or go to the walk-up ACRES help desk. All of those sessions are in the same room. I'm going to just go ahead and put those sessions in the chat. So you're aware there will be a postcard available for folks see, that doesn't look that good in the chat, but just for your awareness, like I said, there will be a postcard available at the registration desk. If you're interested in ACRES training, if you're a new grant recipient, or you have some questions about how to fill out a quarterly report in ACRES, then please head to those sessions. There will be a number of trainings about EPA grant compliance and 2 general office hours. I'll also go ahead and just add those to the chat. There will be a lot of sessions that focus on Brownfields grants, but if you want to specifically ask questions to Brownfields EPA project officers, you'll want to go to either the job training grants office hours or to the MARC, the multipurpose assessment, revolving loan fund, and cleanup grant office hours. Next slide, please. Thank you. So Grow America is one of EPA's nationwide technical assistance providers. They are our revolving loan fund technical assistance provider. They'll be at the conference, and they'll be available in the technical assistance lounge, but they're also hosting this pre-conference deep dive session about Brownfields revolving loan funds. And this session will be an opportunity to connect with other RLF teams and learn how they have overcome challenges in their RLF programs. At this point, this session is full, but if you're interested, you can join the wait list. And like I said, if you do want to connect with Grow America and ICMA, this will not be the only opportunity to do so.
Christina, if I may, they also have a session later in the program that I can share.
Awesome. Thanks, Emily.
Of course.
And then I wanted to mention that the EPA regional open houses will take place Tuesday afternoon from 2:30 to 4 p.m. This is time for attendees to meet with their regional EPA Brownfields program staff and managers, as well as regional leadership. Current or prospective grant recipients, community groups, state and tribal government officials, and other stakeholders often attend this meeting. And each region will do things a little bit differently, but they'll often highlight success stories and EPA resources that we have, and they can answer your questions. So I'm going to put those room numbers in the chat for your awareness. And then I'll hand it back over to, I think, Tad.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about, and there's been a couple questions in the chat about mobile workshops. These are by far some of the most popular things that we do at the event, and they literally sell out before almost everything, which is unfortunate. We could probably do an entire conference where we did nothing but have people go out into the field, particularly in a city like Chicago, which has so many great redevelopment projects to view. But typically they run each day. They're 2 to 3 hours. Emily, can you say just a word or two if there are opportunities for getting on wait list, or maybe a inside tip on how you might wait around before something leaves and jump on the bus at the last minute?
Yeah, well, exactly what you said. So they are sold out. We do have some folks on the wait list, but we've seen people be successful if they show up, 20, 15 minutes before the tour leaves and see if there are some no-shows. And the ICMA staff person who will have a little sign there can try to see what they can do. So it's never a bad idea to be bus side, and we'll see if we can get you on.
The one exception is probably the kayak tour. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got waivers and whatnot.
But again, per Emily's advice, consider, if you're very interested in one of these besides the kayak tours, consider popping over and just hanging out by the departure zone and see if you can get on the bus at the last minute. So a couple other events that are a part, we still do a poster gallery, which is another way of presenting information. And there's several dozen posters are presented. We have a contest. We vote on them, and there's award winners for the best poster and other sorts of things like that. So it's another way of learning at the conference. And if you're like me, and sometimes you go to these events, you sort of appreciate these quiet moments where you can just go learn on your own without having to rely on a calendar or somebody giving their best thoughts to you in a presentation. One of the cool things that we started doing a few years ago, we've done different iterations, and this is the one that has sort of stuck, is the perfect pitch. And this is really one of those times where people get a chance to showcase their individual, property. There'll be there'll be several finalists that'll be presenting their property, their redevelopment idea that'll be evaluated. And then some of them will walk away with a substantial amount of support provided by the EPA TAB program. So it's great theater. I would encourage folks, if you're looking for a very entertaining session, to consider coming to this one on Thursday from 10:30 to 12:45. So the Phoenix Awards, got one over my shoulder, right there. The Phoenix Awards have been around for a long time. They took a few years hiatus because these are offered completely outside of any relationship between ICMA and EPA. They were long offered by a private firm, Arcadis. And like I said, when that firm decided to no longer do them, they sort of went into hibernation for a few years, and then ICMA brought them back for Brownfields 2022, which was in Oklahoma City. And this is really an attempt to highlight and showcase the premier projects that have been developed over the last year, in our case, last 2 years. There are awards for each region. There's a big national prize. Something we started doing just a few years ago was also recognizing individuals. The sector is mature now. There's lots of people that have done redevelopment over the years, and some of them in public sector, private sector, nonprofit, academia. We want to recognize those folks too. So we started this program a few years ago, and it's actually been very popular as well. And the people who've won these awards have been greatly appreciative. So I would encourage everybody to come to the event on Thursday from 5 to 6 and learn about some of the nation's, again, premier redevelopment awards and some of the people that have sort of been leading this sector for a while.
So I think this is me. We've been hearing throughout pretty much a theme throughout everybody's slides so far has been the value of networking. And I really do think that it's the most important thing that you can get out of the conference is just being able to connect to your fellow conference goers. I know a really long time ago now, when I was in college, we used to hear about networking, and it was a terrifying prospect for an introvert like me. But it turns out that networking is just talking about what you're passionate about with other people who are passionate about the same thing. And so this conference provides numerous opportunities for you to connect with those other folks who share the same passions with you. And so we already heard Christina mention the regional open houses. As far as I'm concerned, those are mandatory. You should absolutely be going to your regional open house. You should be meeting with your regional folks, as well as having an opportunity to meet with folks in your region who are in the same field as you are. There's also, we already talked about Brownfield University, great opportunity to do deep dives into topics that are important to you. Obviously, all of the panels and educational sessions, and the exhibit hall. A lot of the receptions, there's receptions in the exhibit hall. The exhibit hall is just a great place to kind of hang out, have some of those quiet moments that Tad was talking about. That's where the posters typically are displayed also in one section of the exhibit hall. And then, you know, it's just where people kind of mingle and a good place to meet, to, you know, schedule meetups with folks. And then all of the receptions. There's some of the formally designated receptions, as well as some of the private events that I think Tad mentioned earlier in the session. So lots of different opportunities to hook up with your fellow conference goers. Is this me too? Yes. So I know I saw at least one tab provider that checked in the chat. The technical assistance to Brownfield centers are a terrific resource. I'm sure they are each going to have a booth at the exhibit hall. Really encourage you to introduce yourself to them. They are organizations that are funded by EPA to provide free services to communities, nonprofits, folks who are in the Brownfields arena who are looking for some additional assistance. So definitely go up to them, introduce yourself, and you know, see what they have to offer, because they're a fantastic resource for whatever you stated as your objective to getting out of the conference. And then they will also be in the technical assistance lounge as well.
Okay. And we wanted to wrap up the webinar with why we keep returning to this conference. I was going to go in the reverse order. So Ted, you're on first. Why do you keep coming?
I mean, typically because I have to help, you know, organize it. Although I don't do that as much anymore with Emily, she's behind the scenes. You've seen her face on screen, but I just a moment of, you know, appreciation for all the hard work that she and her team put into this conference to make it the great event that it is. So if you get a chance to meet her in Chicago, I'd encourage you to say hello, because she really does a fantastic job in making the conference a wonderful event. Beyond working for ICMA and why I keep coming back, it's what I talked about earlier. It's very much requires local people to be successful. And so being a part of ICMA and appreciating that localness of the event is one of the reasons why, for me, I think even after my time at ICMA ends, why I would still keep coming back.
Leah, I think it's your turn.
I wasn't sure what order. So it turns out, Debra said earlier that there's been 21 of these conferences. So I was able to do the math, and I win the Old Timers Award. I beat Tad. So I've been to 19 of these conferences. I missed the first two, and then I skipped one in which one did I skip? Right before COVID, the last one before COVID, I skipped just because of stuff going on in my personal life. And of course, it was the last one before the world shut down. And boy, did I hear about it. I think everybody I knew reached out to me and said, where were you? Why weren't you there? And I was like, okay, I'm clearly never going to miss one of these conferences again. This is a conference that after you retire, you still come back to. This is where, you know, and I say that absolutely seriously. I can't even tell you how many people have retired and are still coming back to these conferences because it's all about the people and the connections and staying involved with a field that we all feel really passionate about. And so that's why I keep coming is all of the wonderful friendships and colleagues and people that I get to touch base with.
Thank you. Christina.
Yeah, piggybacking off of what Leah said, it's definitely the people. I think the innovation, the passion, and the resilience of communities and the folks that I see from all over the country and even from other countries at the conference, it's really inspiring. No project is the same, just like no community is the same. And hearing how, whether it be EPA initial investment through a grant or technical assistance, or just local champions starting this process in their community, you just hear so much about how folks can overcome uncertainties and pave the way for redevelopment in their communities. And again, it's just so inspiring. And there's always more to learn, and I'm always learning.
And I came to my first Brownfield conference when it was in Chicago the first time, when I was working on a redevelopment project for Carlisle, Pennsylvania. So if you go to the mayor's plenary, you'll hear about my project. When I came, I was a good bit younger, and I thought it was like the most amazing conference I had ever been to. I keep coming because now I get to help other people get that feeling, right? Now I get to help set up these first timer sessions and also teach at Brownfields University. So to me, the shift is amazing and helping communities do what I was so excited to do the last time it was in Chicago. Okay, questions, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see them.
While we're waiting on questions. Oops, it's okay, Christina. I just wanted to take a moment and just remind folks that this is a partnership between ICMA and EPA, and we really value that partnership and that relationship. And so we don't say it often enough to our folks, and particularly to you too, Christina, because Christina is just now sort of stepping into this project as the lead with EPA. But you guys are wonderful partners with us, and we certainly appreciate all the support that you give us, and certainly the support that you provide the industry.
I think we have answered most of the questions in the chat. Thanks, Tad, for saying that. One thing that we always, as EPA, get out of the conferences, we get to learn what challenges come from working with us, and hopefully work to make that better. We can only do so much, and we want to continue to be good partners. So it's important when there are challenges that people say those out loud.
Okay, I'm seeing we're seeing some questions in the chat. Why don't we go through them, and I'll ask you panelists to answer them. So first, we have one that was from earlier. Does the conference cover current or former government facilities, federal, state, or local?
I think I saw one session on the agenda, Emily, about a RCRA facility. Mm-hmm. So there should be at least something on the agenda for you.
And chances are you'll run into somebody who's worked on a redevelopment project, turning a post office into something, or maybe redeveloping a town hall or a other kind of federal facility. We used to do a lot of stuff on closed military sites. I don't think we have too many of those this year, but there will certainly be people in the audience that have done that kind of work.
And there are always examples of brownfield sites being reused for government facilities as well, parks, firehouses, that sort of thing.
And we find that our speakers and attendees are very eager to share what they know and have learned with you. So don't hesitate to stay behind and try to connect with folks. So I'm seeing another question that is specific to continuing education credits. And Ruth, this question is specific to professional geologist licenses. So I'm going to touch base with you offline, but we will have information on the website about which sessions qualify for which continuing education credits. And in the back of each conference room, there's a binder where you can kind of follow the instructions. And of course, you can always go to the Ask Me desk adjacent to registration if you're one of those people that maybe you're a planner or a lawyer and you're looking for credits, and we can help you navigate from there as well.
Emily, I see a question about attending the concurrent sessions. Alan, yes, those are sessions that you can just walk right into. You do not need to register for those sessions that happen Wednesday, Thursday, after those Brownfields University sessions. So the Brownfields University sessions are the ones that you need to pre-register for. Those happen on Tuesday. The educational programming really begins Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and those you do not need to pre-register for.
Guess there's a question about sessions for site selectors and developers. Did we answer that? We didn't answer that one, did we? No. Yeah, but the answer is yes. There are several tracks on development. There's a track on financing. So this conference for sure is going to feature a tremendous amount of content for developers and site selection professionals as well. So I encourage you to check out the website and look at the educational program and find those that most closely match your interest and needs.
Thanks, Tad. And we have a question here about, other tips for first timers, like a fellow TAB team member apparently had shared that comfortable shoes are a must. I couldn't agree more. This is not the time to break out a brand new pair of shoes. Comfortable shoes are a good idea, but I want to reiterate that the conference mobile app is really helpful for planning your time because it allows you to add specific things to your schedule and kind of keep track of where you're going. It also has where they are geographically located within the facility. So I would suggest that is a great tool. But yep, hydrate, eat, and wear comfortable shoes.
And I always bring a sweater because conference rooms are usually cold.
Absolutely, they are.
I would bring a reusable water bottle for sure. Like Emily said, you should hydrate. There'll be plenty of water refill stations.
So we're asking a question. I see a question about accessing materials from previous conferences. It's a little hard to get through on the website because of how we have it structured now, but there are some resources available. So Harry, why don't I follow up with you directly? So I'm seeing another question. As a first timer, the schedule is difficult to discern. Are the university programs different than the educational classes, which are also different than the concurrent sessions? So yes, the pre-conference programming, the Brownfields University programming is different. It kind of has some foundational courses. They're usually a little bit longer and a little bit deeper of a dive. And those do require pre-registration, and that's still available. You can peruse those on the website. Whereas the concurrent sessions, kind of cover any manner of topic area. But I'll also note we did something new for the first time this year. And in the program guide and in the mobile app, we actually have a tag for sessions that are recommended for first timers. Christina's team at OBLR is also putting together a handout of sessions that are recommended for first timers. If you want to elaborate on that, Christina.
Yeah, we've created just a suggested schedule of like sessions. If you've never been to a conference that you might want to attend, it'll highlight some of the local planning committee sessions, some sessions that apply to rural communities, and then we try to hit every track. But one thing I did just want to say, Emily, in regards to Terry's question is, like Emily said, the Brownfields University sessions we consider pre-conference because we usually say that the conference doesn't begin until that opening plenary on Tuesday evening. But you still have to pre-register for those sessions, but everything else, those concurrent sessions, those are the educational programming sessions. And it is difficult to navigate. There are over 180 sessions, so we totally understand it's really hard to pick. We often get comments that people didn't get to attend every session that they wanted to because there is so much to do. So we get it. Emily, someone in the chat is asking about the Solar Farm Summit sessions.
Yes, so this year we are looking forward to co-locating our exhibit hall. So this is outside of ICMA's work in partnership with the EPA, but we will be co-locating the exhibit hall with the Solar Farm Summit, and they will also have some concurrent programming happening just a little bit ahead of our program. And I will drop the link to their website in the chat if you are interested or want to touch base.
I see two questions, one from Alan in the chat. How do we get a copy of the First Timers handout? I will share that handout with ICMA. There will be a printout of it available at the registration desk, but we can get it posted on the conference website as well. And then Terry, are the concurrent sessions listed anywhere on the website? I'm going to post the website link in the chat right now, and that is where you can find all of the educational sessions.
I have it, Christina. I can post it.
And when you navigate to that link, what you'll notice is that the first couple of sessions will have a sentence that says this is a Brownfields University session. Everything else in that list is concurrent programming. There are a handful of things that are listed there that might say something along the lines of by invitation. There aren't many of those things. Those are often just affiliate events. But that's how you kind of discern. If it says that sentence about Brownfields University at the very beginning, then that's what it is. Otherwise, it is concurrent programming.
And Emily, can you tell folks what the dress code is? I accidentally dismissed that question.
Of course. I mean, it's, generally you see a lot of everything and it's certainly weather dependent, but generally business casual on the end of casual. I don't know if others that have, a deep experience at the conference want to share more. But again, I do want to reiterate that this is a fair amount of walking in a large convention center. They're not known for having, the greatest flooring. You're essentially walking on concrete, so practical shoes.
It's funny, I was just reminiscing yesterday of my first conferences where I had to have heels for each day and pantyhose and a suit and a blouse. And now it's so much more casual and comfortable. I mean, obviously business appropriate, but you're going to be doing a lot of walking. These conference halls are enormous. So definitely dress for comfort.
Okay, do we think we have time for one more question? I see a good one about tracks in here. And so that is asking to elaborate on the tracks and if attendees typically pick a track and then choose the sessions that align. Sometimes a lot of people just, pick and choose things that sound good to them, but we have intentionally built the program so that if you are most interested in tribal sessions, you can find what color those are and go to those sessions. If you're interested in the sessions that you can obtain legal credits, those are identified as well. So that is a helpful way to navigate. I will say that in the conference app, as well as on the listing that Tad and Christina have both shared, the search feature is pretty smart. And so if you're looking for something specific, you can, type that in. Maybe you're looking for RLF, you can type that in and see what returns. So, or if you're looking for a specific speaker as well, you can type their name in and that will return for you there. Okay, everyone, I'm not seeing any more questions left in the Q&A box.
There's a question in the chat asking about, I think is the conference connected to funding opportunities. I won't say specifically, there are some sessions. I believe there's a session this year on, so you want to apply for an EPA grant. Gives you some general tips and tricks about how to do that. But for the most part, the conference is not there to showcase open funding opportunities.
There is a Brownfields University course on granting your wish that the other half of BRS and I will be presenting at on how to write a successful EPA grant.
And my firm does how to resource roadmap to plan for future funding and get your projects done session as well. So not a focus on specific grants, but like general processes are there throughout, like kind of interwoven throughout the conference.
All right, I see one more question, Emily. Do you want to answer that one about how to print all the sessions and times?
I'm afraid I don't see that question. Did I?
Oh,
I minimized it.
Ruth asked if there's a way to print all the sessions and time in a list format, preferably Excel or PDF.
We will have a PDF version of the program available. It's not quite available yet, but that will be available. And then we'll have a limited number of programs available at the registration center, if that helps, Ruth.
All right, I think that's it. Thanks everyone for joining. We really appreciate you all being here, and we look forward to seeing you in Chicago. And again, this will be recorded and posted on the conference website.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.